It was a chilly November evening when John Foster left his office, his breath visible in the crisp air. He walked briskly towards the subway, eager to get home after a long day. As he passed the usual alley, he noticed a homeless man huddled under a thin blanket, shivering from the cold. John paused, feeling a pang of empathy. His mother had always taught him the importance of kindness and generosity. He reached into his bag and pulled out the sandwich he had packed for dinner but hadn't eaten. Kneeling down, he handed it to the man. "Here, take this," John said softly. The homeless man looked up, his eyes wide with surprise and gratitude. "Thank you, sir. God bless you," he murmured, taking the sandwich with trembling hands. John smiled and nodded, then continued on his way. He felt a warm sense of fulfillment, knowing he had helped someone in need, even if just a little. The next morning, John was woken up by a loud knock on his apartment door. Still groggy, he checked the time. It was barely 7 a.m. He threw on a robe and went to the door, opening it to find two police officers standing there. "Good morning, officers. Can I help you?" John asked, his voice laced with confusion and concern. "Good morning, sir. We're sorry to bother you this early, but we need to ask you a few questions," one of the officers replied. "May we come in?" John stepped aside, allowing the officers to enter. His mind raced with possibilities, but he couldn't fathom why they would be there. "Is everything all right?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. The officers exchanged glances before one of them spoke. "It's about the homeless man you gave food to last night. Do you remember him?" John's heart skipped a beat. "Yes, I remember him." "Is he all right?" "We're not sure yet. We found him this morning in critical condition. He had a severe allergic reaction, and we're trying to piece together what happened." John felt a sinking feeling in his stomach. "Oh no, I had no idea. What can I do to help?" The officers sat down at John's kitchen table, motioning for him to join them. "We need to know everything you can tell us about last night. What kind of sandwich did you give him?" John thought back, trying to recall the details. "It was a turkey and cheese sandwich. Nothing unusual. I didn't know he had allergies." The officers nodded, noting down the information. "Did he say anything to you? Mention any health issues?" John shook his head. "No, he just thanked me and took the sandwich." The conversation continued, with John providing as much detail as he could. The officers seemed satisfied with his answers, but still looked concerned. "We appreciate your cooperation, Mr. Foster. We'll keep you updated on his condition. In the meantime, please don't hesitate to contact us if you remember anything else." After the officers left, John couldn't shake the feeling of guilt and worry. He decided to take the day off from work and do some investigating of his own. He headed to the local shelter, hoping to find out more about the homeless man. At the shelter, John spoke with the coordinator, a kind woman named Maria. She confirmed that the man, Eddie, had been staying there off and on for the past few months. "Eddie is a good man, but he's had a tough life," Maria explained. "He's allergic to several things, but he doesn't always have the means to avoid them." John's heart ached hearing this. "Do you know if he's going to be okay?" Maria sighed. "He's at the hospital now. Last I heard, they were stabilizing him. It's a waiting game." Determined to make amends, John went to the hospital to check on Eddie. He found him in a small, sterile room hooked up to various machines. Eddie looked fragile, but alive. "Hey, Eddie," John said softly as he approached the bed. Eddie opened his eyes, recognition flickering across his face. "You're the guy from last night." John nodded, feeling a lump in his throat. "I'm so sorry, Eddie. I had no idea you were allergic." Eddie managed a weak smile. "It's not your fault. You were just trying to help. But maybe next time, stick around to see if I eat it," he added with a chuckle that turned into a cough. John smiled back, relieved to see Eddie's spirits intact. "I'll make sure of that, and I'll make sure you get the help you need." John didn't stop there. He spoke to the hospital staff and discovered Eddie's medical bills were piling up. Determined to help, John reached out to his community, organizing a fundraiser to cover the costs. The response was overwhelming. Friends, family, and even strangers donated generously, and within days, they had enough to pay off Eddie's medical expenses and more. John also contacted local social services, securing a place for Eddie to stay and providing him with resources to get back on his feet. Weeks later, Eddie was discharged from the hospital. With John's help, he moved into a small, cozy apartment and started a job at a nearby store. The community continued to support him, and Eddie began to rebuild his life. John and Eddie became good friends, their bond forged through the act of kindness that had initially brought them together. They often met for coffee, sharing stories and supporting each other through life's ups and downs. One evening, as they sat on a park bench watching the sunset, Eddie turned to John. "You know, I never thought I'd get a second chance like this. You saved my life, John." John shook his head. "No, Eddie. You saved your own life by being strong and resilient. I just gave you a little push." Eddie smiled, tears glistening in his eyes. "Well, I'm grateful for that push. It changed everything." John patted Eddie's shoulder. "Sometimes all we need is a little kindness to change the course of our lives." As they sat there watching the sky turn from orange to purple, John realized that the simple act of giving a sandwich had led to something far greater than he could have ever imagined. It reminded him that kindness, no matter how small, could make a world of difference. From this story, we learn the profound impact of simple acts of kindness. John's decision to give his food to Eddie not only saved a life, but also sparked a community's compassion and support. This narrative highlights the ripple effect that one good deed can have, transforming lives and fostering human connection. It shows us that empathy and generosity, even in small measures, can lead to significant and positive changes. Reflecting on this, consider the power of your own actions. What small act of kindness can you perform today that might make a difference in someone's life? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below.